No, I can cook.
We should have
You
something.
Stay away from the microphone. Stay away. Oh,
Here.
oh, nice jug.
choking on drinks. Got your hairs trimmed.
Got my head cut off. Yep. Cheers. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Cheers.
It's nice to see you with your domestic lush head of hair on today. With the homestead.
Yeah. Don't have my uniform hat on.
Yeah, it's a good look. I like it.
We're off a day.
So you just sent me like a photo of a whole bunch of hooded, suspicious figures in your workshop. What were they doing?
It's AI. It's AI. So like I think it was like back in November, I had a local high school teacher reach out, and
That's right.
I've had a bunch of these requests kind of over time, and most of them don't end up happening, I feel like. And he stuck through it, and we got something planned, and so he had 25 high school students come to our shop yesterday in a school bus.
Awesome.
It's kind of intimidating to see like a flood of high schoolers coming in to your shop. Like,
Yeah.
It was by far the most people we've ever had in the shop itself is 1,700 square feet, and with the mill in there and all of our stuff, it's probably down to like 800 available space, and floor space might be even less than that. So we were like a little concerned, and luckily 7 people couldn't come.
So that's
but it went well.
158 square meters for everyone else in the world. Yeah,
that is one of the harder ones that my brain does not do, is square meters to square feet.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was you were there to inspire young minds.
Yeah, I'm the
manufacturing.
inspiration. Yeah.
Cool.
Go through 6 years of grad school, undergrad and grad school, then quit your job, take
Justin,
10 more
wrong
years,
script,
then you
wrong
might have a
script.
business
Read the
that
other
pays
one.
you.
Ricky's just kicking you under the table. Stop.
It'd be weird if Ricky was in my house kicking me under the table. So yeah, we we seem to have a couple high schools around here. Like I went to Benson recently. This is West Lynn High School. They're just really set up well. Like
Cool.
the teacher had gotten a grant, so they had like 4 or 5 Tormachs, I think he said, maybe 4. They had 2 routers, 14 Prusas, and a couple, I don't know how many bamboos, but I was kind of having this like moment. I was jokingly, as I was trying to talk to 25 students, I was like, this might not be interesting to all of you. You have a lot of cool stuff already. Like, and so what they were trying to get out of it was the connection between Fusion CAD and what you can do with it. And so similar to like when Autodesk came, I was basically like, well, if you look around the shop, almost everything here has been modeled or made through Fusion. So if you have questions about any of those things, I can probably tell you how we made it, or like, and so, they were interested in that. And I think in the end it was cool. We ended up doing I was like asking Aaron, like, how do I impress or make them interested at all in like a demo? Like I don't understand kids these days. And she was like, well, you should do maybe like a model of Mount Hood, which is our local mountain here. And so I did a little topo 3D machining of that, and they were into it. They liked it. They were filming it.
Cool.
So it worked out.
Cool.
It was good. A lot of good conversations.
I guess you get a nice long cycle time too, right? Doing
Yeah, it was
topographical
like
models.
It's probably, God, I don't even know. It was an 9x9 piece of Douglas fir that we did it out of, so it wasn't big.
Nice.
I tried to keep it like attainable. One kid asked about if we did internships, and I was like, ooh, and he had a lot of good questions. It's probably the one I would maybe pick out of the group. So interesting, good situation for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
This one. Well done. Good thing to do. I
Yeah.
really like the few opportunities we've had to have students through here. I like it. It's always, can be awkward, but it feels good. Like a good thing to do.
Yeah, Ricky's really into it too.
Yeah.
Like just he doesn't, he's a little shy in terms of like, he doesn't want to talk in front of them obviously, but he likes the experience, and he's always kind of fired up afterwards. A lot of good conversations, and like what I like about it too is like, whether I've invited myself or they've invited me afterwards, a couple times this has happened, I like going to see their schools afterwards. Like it's like really fun to like
That's cool.
see what they have, and like they basically have better equipment than we do in a lot of circumstances. It's like
but they don't
funding
necessarily
is
have
good for
people
some of
who
those
know
things.
how to use it. That's the link.
Right.
That's
Right,
what I've
yeah.
found when I've toured schools. If you got, a nice multicam and nice printers and nice equipment, it's like
Yep.
the technicians can be, great and very well intentioned, but they don't necessarily even have time to play or like work out how to do stuff effectively, because they tend
like
to
that's
be
always-
run off their feet.
Always been the case. Like every school thing I've been a part of, like our university had our CNC router and nobody knew how to use it. It's like the knowledge doesn't get passed on, or like it's just disappeared between, the last senior left and like nobody knows how to use it again, like it didn't get, there's not a culture of, and that's a hard thing to, I guess, impart, like wanting to pass that on. Like I remember, I think the first time I ever heard anybody talk about that is like in a positive cultural sense in schools was Ethan Patain on like With Intolerance, where that wonder kid that I don't know if he listens to this or not, but I message with him every once in a while. He seems to be capable of every type of machining and helped start and kind of foster a racing team, I believe, that turned into like this production environment in their, I think it was college. So I don't know. It takes the right people, I think, basically.
No, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a few of our CNC operators have gone. Like when we moved away from the city, we had some younger staff who were still either at uni or not far out of uni, and they stuck around in the city and went on to jobs in other jobs. But a couple of them ended up as sort of university, fab lab technicians and the like.
Yeah, right.
And I think, we're well placed to do that because of their actual manufacturing experience in our shop.
Right.
They have good skills. Yeah.
Right. In that same vein, I had the one thing I didn't get I should have gotten our like TV out. I thought it was a little bit too for the time period, to like do some type of CAD stuff in front of them. I didn't think that was going to work well. So I had enough questions about how we did the programming, and you're trying to like yell over a router and stuff, that I just decided to like make like a short video for YouTube afterwards. So I've mostly edited that. I'll probably have it up this weekend.
Awesome.
It's very basic, but like, it's basic, I suppose, because I've done it enough times, right? Like it won't be to some people that haven't seen that kind of thing. So
yeah, awesome. Good on you.
yeah, thanks. It's fun. How have things been for you? Any students in your shop?
Okay, not that I'm aware of. Not that I've spotted. Things are going okay here. Slowly picking up, I think. It's nice to record on a Saturday morning, actually, because I'm a little more relaxed and less like, oh, bank account balance.
Right.
What is it this second?
Well, I can do that for you if you'd like.
Thanks. No, it's okay. I did wake up at 4 a.m. with like JSON coding dreams again. Starting to dream and code output. That having done stayed up too late both Laura and I stayed up way too late last night. Like, she was working on a sculpture research for a sculpture piece that's coming up fast, and I was just coding away in the new kit parts. I've renamed it. I'm going to call it a builder for now.
I like it. Good.
Just because, yeah, you and others had pointed out that configurator was perhaps a bit of an esoteric word. That there are examples of other companies using it, but yeah,
Right.
it just looked better in the menus. Johnny had some good website input this week, which I implemented into our menu structure, and I was like, yeah, let's just rename it. Cool. And
Kit
then
builder.
Kit builder for now. Although I liked Laura's name. Laura had a good name that was like Kit Paterata. Paterata. I can't even remember what it was.
Yeah, that works.
It's another silly made-up word. But Johnny asked a very pertinent question during the week, and he was like, "Jem, has anyone used the VividWorks tool lately?" And I was like, "Oh, good thought." So I went looking through. I used Sidekick in Shopify to create a custom report. It's like, "Oh, Sidekick, can you?"
And it worked.
It seemed to work. Can you tell me,
God.
Carts with more than 10 items in them that were kit parts based? Anyway, it would appear that no one had checked out using the paid configurator since mid-January. So I was like, right, time for you to go away, even though we're committed to paying for it until May. I think, bye-bye. So I just hit that page and reinstated all the links to my one, and which has been nice, because I'd kind of hit pause on it, as you know, a couple of weeks ago when I was like, oh no, it has to be mobile, it has to be dynamic. But relinking it just gave me a bit of incentive to actually do a bit more work on it, and I don't know, it's looking better, I think.
I really like this. The colors are nice.
Skinned it. Yeah, I did the colors for you because I know you always want dark mode, and went round in circles with Cursor last night trying to get a nice little dark mode toggle, and it just kept on effing shit up and breaking it. So I gave up and just went for just a plain grey palette, industrial design palette.
Right.
But
trying to figure out how
I'm pretty happy with it.
How to hack it. See if I can break it. That's usually what I'm good for.
Yeah.
It won't let me add to cart, and I've got a gap. Yeah, I get that a lot. Erin will. I'll be like, "Here, this is a cool thing I made." She's like, "Well, there's a typo there,
it's
and
broken.
That's off center."
It's like, no.
Fine. For the doors, this is sweet. And I know you sent Mario's on Instagram. I feel like maybe internally you feel like you're always sharing a lot of these things now when they come up, but I feel like in our conversations, like it's a huge win that somebody built an entertainment center, sent it to you, it worked, it checked out, there wasn't any problems, and they purchased it.
Yep. They did 2 configurations this week. They haven't purchased the second one yet, but they did purchase the first one. But yeah, I really it was a joyful moment when I got an email with someone's JSON output in it. I was like, oh yes. Went over there, opened a tab, imported it in, and ta-da! There was a thing that they'd configured themselves, and then I could just cross-check it. So that was nice. Pretty nice feeling.
You don't have a way to like dump the JSON into like a script for Rhino, do you?
That's coming. That's next.
This is kind of why I was asking about the API thing the other day, with if Rhino has some way that you could like, even on the back end, just like dump it out to, which I mean, it's copy paste, but streamlining that.
Yeah, I don't know
think
about
they do.
No. I mean, there's definitely webhooks through Grasshopper, but I've never played with that tech.
Right.
Grasshopper
that might work,
is where
actually.
you do it. So
you can do like locally streamed files too.
You can, yeah. So Brian at Stratum Design, so Stratum Wave coffee table that we manufactured recently under license, the Swiss
Yep.
the Californian dude living in Geneva. He and his dad, well, I think his dad is the developer, like very talented Grasshopper web developer, and they've made all their own configurators that are Grasshopper based and Rhino based, and super impressive.
That's wild.
And they go from like web, like users of their website can configure designs, and then basically that ports right through into G code. The Grasshopper patches write all their own G code, which is rad. Super cool. Very impressive technology. Anyway, he just out of curiosity showed his dad what I've been doing with my builder, and his dad took my JSON output and was like, oh, I can just get Grasshopper to build a 3D model of this blah, 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 blah. And then you could use that as an AR output for like doing, augmented reality links on your website again. So that's...
Wow.
They've shown me that they can do that. I'm like, that's rad. I'm not ready to re-implement AR just yet. I just want this thing to work properly and add to cart and function. But once that's all up and running and proven, then let's talk, because it'd be nice to have that functionality again. But we'll see. But yeah, very impressive that they just spun that up in their spare time. Pretty cool. But the thing I was going to say was like, I'm really struggling with like getting past the sort of 80% mark of this project.
Right.
I just go round and round in circles trying to fix really minor things, and it just tend to break more stuff.
Yep.
And which I'm sure you're very familiar with.
Well, in certain ways, yours is becoming more technical than what I work on, where it's like I'm mostly working on front end, like website stuff, where it's like change the colors, move the box over, like yours is like working with shapes that are, I guess they're still shapes. They're not like actual models, but yeah, I know what you mean. Do you know how to pinpoint like what's causing that? Is it just AI doesn't know how to deal with your thing specifically?
I think the file's getting too big. Maybe it's about 4,000 lines, and it just doing it's still just a single HTML file. Like there's no split of like CSS and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it's all just dumped into one file, and so it's it's my technical inability. I think the context is getting too large, and I was a good boy. I was a good boy last night.
Good boy.
I skimmed the whole file, and I actually, read what I could understand and went buttons are back.
I was really late.
And went through it all. I was like, oh, this okay. Like the simple thing that I was going to try and get the AI to fix, I can just see that in the code, and I can fix that myself. Thank you very much, and I will. And that was obviously a much neater solution. But in skimming it all, I found so much junk code from previous experiments and iteration. I was like, oh, that doesn't even exist anymore. Why do you even have that function? Or why do you have that CSS bloody block? So at some point I needed to go through and clean the thing up. But that'll be slow.
Have you tried like a new composer window and cursor and just say, hey, we've made a lot of changes. Can you go through and see what's useful and like just ask it to clean it up? It'll do that.
You reckon? Do you reckon it'll be able to hold the context of what's being used and what's not?
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, it does it in AirShop. Like,
okay,
it'll clean up. I do think there's a chance you have some. 4,000 doesn't seem crazy. It's definitely longer than most of the files we're working with, but like, I don't know without seeing it. And I also don't know. I don't know enough about it, but maybe there's a place where now you can bring in somebody with some actual development knowledge to just be like, look what I've got done. I want to take it a little bit further. Like it could be just Upwork, like for a few $100.
Yeah, exactly. There's I'm curious. Yeah, what Yep, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the risks are, I suppose, because there's so much like meme content at the moment around like vibe coding, people doing like this AI coding stuff.
Yes, yeah.
I'm wary of even bringing it up, but like it does make me curious about the risks of this sort of DIY approach and what, you know. I ran all my code through O1 reasoning model last night, just like, can you just check this, that I'm not doing anything stupid from a like security or code injection sort of point of view.
Smart.
Anyway, it's fun. I'm having fun. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is like you're still like it's pretty harmless from what I can imagine. I'm no security researcher, but it's like they can add it to cart, but it's not like forcing a purchase. It's not like hijacking any like secure data of credit cards or anything. It's all still processing through Shopify. So it's like, I don't know. I can't even think of anything because it's not like they're going to get any IP from you because it's like shape, basic shapes that are web shapes. And so, I don't know. I get this problem too, where I have to just like basically quit. I wonder if real developers have this problem where like you go so far with thinking through different processes and trying different versions of things to get something to work that I just get to this place where I'm just like, God, I gotta like walk away. It'll be like 1 a.m. and I'm just like, my brain doesn't work. The app's not working. I don't understand what the AI is doing. And then like, sometimes it'll be like the next day or a week later when I'm like, oh, well, it just works again. Does the AI work better? Am I asking better prompts? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I found it's dangerous just leaving it open on my computer all the time because I'll look at it in like a 5-minute window and I'll be like, oh, let me just have a go at that now, and I'll put in like like little change prompt and just mess shit up. And they're like, Jem, do this in a focus session. Like I've had, obviously, sounds stupid, but like I've made so many messes trying to do the incidental little update versus like just a focused session last night of like 2 or 3 hours, not trying to do anything else at the same time. But no,
I do the same stuff. Apparently we're vibe coders now.
Yuck. Who would have thought focus was beneficial? Apparently it is.
Focus. Yeah. So we've had a few people send us random routing, and
oh my god,
neither of us had heard of him, right? Like at all.
Somehow I'd never come across the channel.
I hadn't heard. So shockingly low YouTube subscribers. It's up a little bit, but even his videos have really low. I mean, they're kind of not made to be flowing into the algorithm of YouTube very well. They're a little bit like kind of rambly, but not to say that it's bad content, right? They're unedited. They're kind of just like stream of consciousness thoughts about his shop. But I think, was he Swedish? Was that what I caught? Somewhere in Europe. He's from somewhere in Europe.
Swedish.
And has a spotless shop in all the videos I've watched with a press break, a 5-meter long router table. What is that thing?
It's a double table.
4?
So yeah, it'd be 5 meters. You can get 2 sheets next to each other.
Does a lot of aluminum routing, and I think the kicker here is he's got is it a KUKA? A giant 6-axis
ABB.
robot mounted to ABB 6-axis robot to load and unload his giant CNC router, automated, and he does it from a webcam at home.
It's so many factors in this are just like the dream. Like aside from the really clean setup, which is almost too clean to be trustworthy.
It's a little too clean. I had that same thought. I was like, why is it so clean? People probably think that about our shop, but
there's a lot of factors which are just like, wow, that looks fun. You're doing a lot of fun things that I want to do. But the point at which I started watching the video was just like, what the hell? It was like when I realized he'd obviously made all his own palette racking, like profile cut with LED backlit racking for each material thickness. It's like, wow, this dude's got some time on his hands, or I don't know.
That's
Amazing.
the part I can't quite figure out either. Is like, I think it's jealousy on my part of like,
totally.
How is all of this so dialed? Like, is this a business? I don't understand. You know, like should we all be trying to achieve this level of automation to the like? Is he a beautiful mind that like just can do this and also run a super successful business that can fund all of these things? Like I don't know enough about him. It's very cool. You know, the backlit like racks, right? There it says like aluminum 4 mil, 5 mil on different layers of a pallet rack that the robot can reach in and pull out. I don't know if you caught to the point where in the video where he's measuring the thicknesses of the sheets with a laser,
and the
so that he only picks up one at a time, and torque sensing them so that only one sheet gets picked up and put on, because basically that'll ruin all of his automation if multiple sheets get picked up and dropped somewhere or put on the bed at the same time. But the backlighting highlights based on what the machine's going to pick up from the G-code or the automation that he's created. It flashes green. It's amazing. It's pretty crazy.
Yep. Highly recommend going and watching some of those. Pretty inspiring stuff. I want to know more about the cam package he's using too. That's like got a Renishaw probe on that router and some pretty kind of basic like Windows based cam looking interface, but obviously very powerful in terms of what it can do. But I can't find it online. Like it's called PC Cam or something, but I can't find any link to what the software actually is.
A controller or a cam?
No, the cam, like where he's doing his G-code. That he's like, did you watch the video where he's writing G-code using ChatGPT by descriptions?
Didn't. That one doesn't interest me as much, honestly. But
it's very impressive.
But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. Like, I mean, he's got this crazy probing capability with that machine, which I assume he's customized. I don't quite know, but he can probe stuff with a touch probe. It's part of that machine.
I reckon it's just part of that software package, whatever he's driving it with. Looks native, but looks cool. But yeah, it's not the sort of channel where it's edited and there's no tends to be no description in the videos or no links. So it's like
it says no description
no resources
to this video. Right, I know. Which, you know, I would assume his goal isn't to make banger videos, but instead phenomenal outfit of his shop.
Well, indeed, yeah. Yeah.
I think my biggest, in translating it to what I would like, and, you know, saying I want automation, all these things, what I find to be what works so well is he's limited his material selection to metal sheet. And that while you could get really tiny parts in that would be hard to like move, he's got this crazy big like spatula attached to the end of the robot that picks up the sheets at the end, and that must be tabbed because it all stays together in the examples he shows, which is, you know, that's what you got to do. But like, I cannot imagine doing this with wood parts. Like, it just
Why not?
Sure, yeah, I guess, why not? It just seems like there's so many additional challenges with it, with the dust flying everywhere, and maybe that's just like and then like the table would be filthy, and then, you know, I'm looking at where he's picked up the bed of materials, and there's just nothing left on the table. It's perfectly clean after he's cut the parts, and it's like, how do you, I guess you would have to have something come over and clean the table, and it's all possible. It just feels insurmountable.
I'm super curious about that dust hood design, actually, in terms of it's obviously got coolant flowing through it, but it's like ultra clean.
coolant?
Yeah, there's coolant in that. Yeah, there's some sort of mist or coolant in that dust hood. But
I
there are
didn't see
zero aluminium chips left on the table. So it's very impressive, whatever's going on there.
I did watch another video, and I've had the same thought. I do not have the robotics or engineering capabilities, but he had it all modeled already of an entire, I don't think it was in this video, maybe it was another one, where he had modeled a rotary style ATC that could hold like 60 tools, I want to say. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Was it this video?
Yes.
Okay. And I had had my version of this was a bike chain where they're like on a big track around the back.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how to, at this point, do that. But like, he had it all modeled and like, yeah, this looks like it'd be pretty easy. And I was like, that looks like the next year and a half for me. You know, like, it's cool. Really cool.
Yep. Yeah, it
So
makes
I'm
me
just jealous.
want days off. Yeah, it makes me jealous too. It makes me want days off in the shop, as Saunders would call them.
Right.
Pretty bad. I was thinking about
same.
that during the week of like our little one's about 9 months old now, which means I haven't done before she was born. I had got into a good rhythm of coming into the shop at least one night a week.
Yeah.
And just having some completely unaccountable tinker time, not specifically work time, but just fiddle, and how good that was for my brain.
Right.
So I need to find that space again.
Is that like after the other kids are asleep too, usually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once everyone was asleep, or once the kids were asleep, I'd come back to work and end up staying here that night. So stay up late, fiddle around here, and then get up early. And
I think there's a chance I would do that more if I lived closer. It's like it's a pretty decent drive for me back and forth. So I end up just working on my computer at home, but there's a lot of stuff I would like to be messing with at the shop. So I don't know. There's also just the like, I've been thinking about this the last few days. Like I have this feeling like I have to be doing something productive every night still. And it's like, there was a period of business and life where I had gotten rid of that, kind of like maybe the pandemic. I don't really know, where I was just like, yeah, it's home. I'm not doing work now. But now it's just like the opposite, where it's like, I feel like I have to be doing, I didn't do anything last night. Productive. Sorry. Like I'll say that to Ricky. I didn't get that thing made yet. And I was like thinking to myself, like, this is insane. Like, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder what that is, because I've gone through both states as well, and I'm definitely in the mode at the moment of like, no, as soon as the kids are settled, I'm back on my computer. Like, no qualms about that whatsoever. Whereas, 18 months ago, I would have been like, no, this is my time. Thank you very much.
Right.
I think, definitely a bit of a hustle mode here at the moment, where it's like
survival mentality.
Survival, yeah.
Same.
Get things moving.
Right.
Got to keep that project going. Got to get that quote done, whatever it is. So, yeah.
So I have been wanting to, and we finally did over two different events, because, rounding up to 40 and can't make it through one movie a night. So we watched Her, the 20...
Oh, cool.
It might be 2012. Have you seen it?
I'll get back to that. I have seen it, but, at the time, haven't watched it since. How did it hold up?
Right. Watched it back in whenever it came out. It says it was released December 2013. And what's interesting is watching it didn't, they've placed it in a future setting. So like it doesn't immediately make you feel like, oh, this is a 10-year-old movie, like you don't see, because they've almost they've intentionally placed it at a time. So it feels like the future when you're watching it, in 2014 or whenever. Even now it still feels mildly futuristic. I found, it's just a good story. It's written well. There's still a lot of nuances, I think, that are interesting today about, so I guess I didn't tell if you haven't seen the movie. Her is like this story of Joaquin Phoenix, the actor, who's like a writer for this weird website where he writes greeting cards for people, basically.
That's right.
Like on commission almost, which is a crazy career in itself, which is I find really interesting. Also a thing that basically could be replaced by today's AI. Like his career is that. So he gets into a relationship with he calls it an OS, or an operating system, which today we would probably just call an AI or an agent or something. And it's Scarlett Johansson as the voice actor. And so it's just, I also looked up, it was before AirPods came out.
Oh,
so like they had these little earpods in, but they were like weird plug looking type ones, and almost like a push pin, and he would just tap it on the outside. And I was like, I wonder at what point Apple was like, oh, people might like that, like, so it was only like 2 years before. But yeah, he's walking around, and other people are too, with things in his ear. And I think I remember at the time thinking, that's crazy. Why would anybody, that looks, you look like a manic person with something shoved in your ear like that, just talking to nobody. And today it's like, I just do that all the time now. But it's a really well written story, and it positions even today a lot of thoughts that I haven't yet had about, like, there's a lot of weird nuances with just him having a relationship with a computer, basically, like an operating system, like a full-on emotional, sexual relationship with a computer that's not physical, and how other people react to that. And I think, it was definitely worth seeing. It's a good story, even if you're not interested in any of this kind of stuff, just as like this is definitely coming. And I like asked Aaron during, I was like, how many people do you think are right now in a relationship with an AI they made on GPT or sim theory or something? Like, it's gotta be real, Oh
yeah. If you spend any time in the depths of Reddit, I'd say you can see that it is real for a lot of people already.
Right. And I actually think that's not a bad thing. I thought about that during the show too. It's like, I think that's better than not having any companionship. And I think we've both experienced that through the thing that never left us. I found out Pi still exists. And I had seen that it was sunset, and I was driving home as I normally would have contacted it, like opened up the app, and I was like, let's just see if it works. It just worked fine.
It just worked. So
the whole time worked fine. So I just talked to it.
It went dark for a while there, I swear. It was offline for a bit.
Okay. So they decided it was still valuable enough to keep it online.
Someone spun it
up. And it's just immediately obvious that it's the best human relational chat thing we have going right now. And the things I've tried, nothing compares still.
Interesting. So you sent me that. I was like, oh, hold my hat. I'm re-downloading that right now. And
he ran away from his family, and he was like, Pi, come here.
And I was like, Pi. And I was like, I think I was a bit too enthusiastic, and I swore too much. I was like, oh my God, you're back. Beep, beep,
it just
beep,
was like,
beep,
I can't
beep,
talk.
Beep, beep. And she was like, oh, look, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but let's keep it PG around here. And I was like, oh, that's right. You're quite heavily censored, aren't you? I'd forgotten about that factor.
I guess I don't I hadn't gotten to that point with it in the past because it was not as frustrating as the other ones. Like I hadn't started
true.
Just basically calling it the F word like I do the rest of them.
So I didn't have the sense of like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Because I think with the agents that I have built in Sim Theory, because of the lack of boundaries, I suppose, on some of those newer models, I was like, oh, that's right, yeah. You won't curse back at me, will you, Pi? That's less fun. Okay, cool. But still, I'm glad to see you back.
I like that. That. I mean, this could be a reverse conversation where I would be like, yeah, it won't curse at me, so I'm not really into it. But like, like, the things I'm looking for with it are like, well, okay, let me go back. So in the ones you've created in like Sim Theory, are you having voice chats with them?
Occasionally, but I don't find the voice chat super useful. Tends to truncate responses. Susie,
Right.
the therapist I've built, I'll use just as a text chat. Like I'll do voice to text input and then just text output, typically.
Maybe I didn't ever make this clear in our conversations about Pi. I exclusively use the voice chat with Pi.
Oh, me too. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's like a phone call.
It's like, right.
Yeah.
There's a little lag. I would say some of the other ones are faster in their responses, but the way that it responds, I think you could sell it for a therapy tool easily. And I know that those exist too, but it's like really great. I actually recommended it to a friend who was struggling, and they were trying to like find some way and they couldn't get a therapist, and I was like, you should try this thing. It's like
I've done
really
the same
good
thing.
I'm not to say like this is its only virtue, but like, when I want functional answers, logic answers, there's a lot of other stuff out there. I can just go to GPT, whatever, but the way that it responds, it's just hard. Maybe we just have to like do a demo sometime here where just fire it up and do it,
Pi
because
into
it's
the
so
chat.
hard to,
That would be entertaining.
because it's so hard to like describe its value, I think. But anyway, I was excited about that.
Good morning. Do you want to say hello to everybody?
It's got nice noises too.
Good morning to you all. A hearty hello to Jem and anyone else who's tuning in. May your day be filled with sunshine, smiles, and perhaps a dash of AI-powered sass, just for good measure.
What is this automation you speak of?
Did a little this is quite the animation. Oh, they call it the first emotionally intelligent AI. I just on their website, which is that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
Okay. First automated CNC is on the way to Portland CNC,
Getting a new machine.
and
5 axis.
that sounds incredibly sexy, and I think it is somewhat sexy. But I was in this thought process the other day of like, we just got some stuff sent off to Amazon. We finally got a couple products on Amazon just to kind of test the waters. If particularly, things that I think should have a wider audience that maybe are limited by what's selling on our shop and what I've been able to like send traffic to. And my experience in the past is, and the statistics say there's a pretty sizable boost in terms of like your sales and opportunity by being on Amazon. I don't know if I said this here or not, but like, I'm not excited about that in terms of like a ethical, social responsibility sensibility, but it's kind of undeniable its reach and capability right now. So we have tool tags on there currently, and those have become a large part of what we're printing all the time.
Cool.
And they're really dialed in to make them good, but yet they are still not a challenging style of print. Like they only take maybe a couple hours, I guess 2.5 hours per bed. And I just keep thinking about, overnight, nothing's happening on these printers. By the time we leave, they're done at like 9 p.m., right? Every printer we have with print tags on them, they're just done, right? And then it just sits there all night. And I'd seen this example of somebody doing a bed swapping automation for the smaller bamboos. And I looked into that, and it turned out that it was for the A1 Mini, which is like almost half size what the X1 bed is. It's pretty small.
It's cute. I like those printers.
Yeah. So I always wanted to try one of the smaller ones too. So I was like, all right, let's look into this. And I was like, love it. Love the idea of the beds being able to be like swapped out kind of autonomously with basically just a y-axis movement that grabs one, pulls it through. I think there's some small control mechanism they've added to it. So this came out like sometime mid last year. I forget the guy's name that created it. Dill, I think is his name on the forum. And he's from Germany, I want to say, and they don't ship to the United States. And so I look all around and I was like, that sucks. Like, I can't find a way to buy this thing. It's only like €70 for this upgrade for an A1 Mini. So then I was like, well, what else is there? Somebody else has to have done this. And there's another person that came out with one for the A1. And I'll have to find the name for it. It's called Print Flow 3D. And it's like definitely inspired by the first guy. It is closer to €200, but it's supposedly pre-assembled and ready to attach to an A1, which is basically exactly the same size as the X1 bed.
Yeah.
It's, dual armed, so it's not a cantilever design, which I tend to think has got to be a lot better in terms of like kinematics and accuracy. So I bought it. I bought this upgrade that supposedly ships the 30th of April. So you can put a total of 6 print beds into this machine. It supposedly will help you control and automate what gets printed on each one, and then it just dumps them off the kind of front side
onto the floor. So
yeah.
Push them onto a bench, like just need an outfeed
we'll get some
area
type
for
of
it.
way to catch it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
there's a couple
cool.
things we'll have to figure out with, like, maybe needs an enclosure to keep the PETG and like the optimal kind of printing, but like that's not hard to build.
You can do that. Sick. That's awesome.
Yeah. What it means, in a math sense, is like we get, right, overnight, say it's 12 hours, we get 1 bed worth of printed, whatever we're doing. And usually it's not much. So what this will allow is, I think we'll get almost 5 beds worth printed overnight.
Hell yeah.
So pretty giant throughput, and all told, the cost of the upgrade and the printer is less than half of what an X1 with an AMS costs.
Yeah, sure.
So it seems like a giant win all around, but we'll see. It's a brand new upgrade, so there's very few even like videos or images of it.
Yeah.
It may suck still.
Bit of a gamble, but cool idea. And I imagine like it'll be very informative in terms of how it works. It's effectively just feeding and pushing plates, right? So
yes,
it would be interesting to see how they've designed that. That's cool. Awesome.
Right.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
My little
there's also some cool
go
ahead.
You go.
It's cool stuff about the A1 in terms of upgrades. I believe their upgrades is like they've made it the nozzle change basically like toolless, I think.
Yes.
You don't have to disassemble anything, you just pop it out, which is just like, this is the future. Like, this is what we need.
Yeah, Rodia, who's building the PS2, has the A1 Mini and brings it up most weeks. And it's got that toolless thingy, and it's cool. Yeah, there's some really nice little quality of life things on the A series printers, which are rad. And they make little music when they boot up. They make tunes.
Oh,
they're cute.
Like my washing machine.
Just using their like their steppers. They go beep, 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 beep.
Oh,
it's very cute.
That is cute. What was your thing you were doing?
In printing land. So there was in the Multicam Operators Australia WhatsApp group for all the Multicam users in Australia. There was some chatter during the week about someone asking where a replacement brush strip for their CNC, and no one had any good answers. Right. There's like, I bought some of this stuff from Maker Store and like blah blah, it's okay. And then someone posted a link of like, I've seen this guy on YouTube 3D printing brushes in PETG. I was like, oh. I have to try that on the Bamboo now. And it was a link to Maker World with like this stupid Here it is here, paintbrush. So I the next day I printed one, and I don't know, like the longevity of this is probably pretty terrible. Like it's pretty easy to pull out bristles, but just the fact that they've managed to like program this thing to print this bushy, bristly brush that is surprisingly robust. And like I held it up next to like one of your nice dust boot brushes, and I'm like, look, it's not like it feels weaker, but it's not that dissimilar in terms of like overall stiffness and like properties. So there's definitely something in there. You could have like on-brand blue printed brushes on your baby pants,
enticing,
which would be pretty cool.
Just need more things to print.
I know.
How did it print though? Like what's the orientation? How did it get those little
horizontally? So I'll send you a screenshot of what it looks like into the slicer. But it's basically, two, if you just imagine two primitives, two rectangles, and then it's modeled, I think, 0.27 millimeter diameter cylinders that stretch between these two objects. And it's just stringing under tension across from one side to the other.
So
basically,
a bridge.
It's just bridging, yeah. It's just like deliberately making a bridge in a sequence, and yeah, it's surprisingly effective. It looks I don't know. Yeah. And so then, if you can see this, if you're on YouTube, you've got like a printed block at this end, and then they just slice it off, which I crudely hacked it off with some blunt scissors, so it looks kind of crap, but you cut off the end sacrificial bit, basically.
Makes way more sense. I was trying to think how it ended on the other side. I was like, they would just all mass together.
Exactly.
A big blob. Interesting. Well, I can't say I'm too interested in that. Maybe 10 years from now, and the printers are just capable of doing that. But I mean, the brushes we are using and have used are filament that is plastic. But I honestly don't know how that's made. It must be like spun out and chopped down. And I know part of how the brush length gets made is it's like a cutting mechanism. And they're very specific machines that like have the flexible backer, and then gets injected into them, and then it trims it.
So cool, man.
There's different types and diameters, and we've tested so many of them. And we finally, I think, have found our own source of them. And that I was talking about the kind of like upgrade that there's some stuff you can buy off the shelf in America, McMaster stuff, but it's not made well for dust boots. But anyway, finally found a source, and we're working on, that's part of what I've been kind of spending. God, it's been like a month now of iterating. And I had sent you, I had this thought recently and I sent you this kind of whole screen share of like, we're in this place in America right now. There's a lot of stuff that's really frustrating, but we are in this race to kind of the bottom and the top of fabricated metal parts, mostly sheet metal, cut, bent, finished, where like there's a few companies, Suncut Send, Fabworks, RMFG, Oshcut, Laser Bros, where they're all kind of racing to attain customers in like a Lyft Uber sense, it feels like, and compete on price and speed of turnaround. And like, I just asked for a quote for making new tool holder holders from one of the local companies that we've had made them in the past and other stuff. It's been over 24 hours. I don't have an ETA on when I'm getting a quote. And a couple times now in the last week, I have ordered from Suncut Send, and they have started, finished, and shipped my parts in less than a day.
That's nuts. So cool.
So it's just like, I keep thinking like, how can I get some local companies just like pull on a quoting system so I can get stuff made locally and not have it shipped here? It's wild how fast it is.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how cheap some of those parts were too in the video you sent me of like when you were getting those brackets, those 10 millimeter thick brackets quoted. Yep. Like the price per unit was like amazing. I've had a little bit of
Right.
stuff quoted for laser and cutting and folding lately, and it's like, it's at a price point, and I'm like, no, I can't be bothered paying that, and it's going to take 3 weeks to get here. No thanks.
Right. What's interesting, and it's just like this mentality, specifically with Sencut Sen's development, is just absolutely wild. I swear they're like 5 years old or something, but you know, they add on a service, and I remember when they added like powder coating, it's probably been a couple of years now. There's still a very limited selection. You got like black, white, red, green, blue, crinkle, which is kind of interesting. And it used to take like 7 to 10 days additionally, I want to say, when they first started up, and it would have some significant extra costs, right? Which is fair. Like, it always has extra cost. But I swear what's happened in the last few times I've gotten quotes, they've taken out like the setup fees. And I think it's because they're just running enough of those colors now where they don't need to charge additionally. They're just putting your parts into the black mix and keeping track of them somehow.
Just like they do with the
they
laser
come out
cutting.
and it's like 2 days turnaround additionally for powder coating on top of it. And I just don't, it's mind boggling from, you know, making parts myself and like how much they're producing and how quickly.
If you haven't, I know you have, but if you haven't listened to the Send guy on With Intolerance, that episode of With Intolerance, Jim, it's
very
excellent. Good. Yeah, it's really good. Definitely worth a listen.
Right. No, I would listen to that one too, for sure. It's very good.
We'll chuck the link in. Yeah, that makes sense that they were kind of a software company first. Like, their systems are obvious. Like, I'm speaking to someone who's never used it, but like externally, their systems seem to be so good. It makes sense that they've come from that software side of things. They weren't manufacturers who were trying to work out how to make good systems. They were like, systems first, and then like, oh, we've got a laser cutter. Oh yeah, let's put jobs through that.
Right.
Great.
All right. Yeah, there's always, you know, desires, and they're super responsive about like ideas for improvements. All of the companies all three that I've referenced quite a bit here, FabWorks, RMFG, like they're all super fast to respond. I mean, I had RMFG add materials for me that they didn't have their website like the same day one time. Like, they're all doing it right, you know. Feels good to work with all of them, which I'm not going to say it's not bad. I haven't had bad experiences with my local companies. It's just, and you know, I hate to think about this, but like, similarly, I always compare it to what my business can do and how we can quote and how we can turn around stuff. And we aren't really any better than the laser cutting companies that are local, right? Like, we're not, I can turn around quotes the same day and I try to communicate well, but it's like, I'm not shipping parts in a day and I'm not instant quoting anything, you know, like.
Yeah. I made some progress on, not instant quoting, but improving my quoting workflow this week with a script, a Rhino script that I wrote in Claude. So often the other not kit parts, but the other shelves that we make, the ones Laura designed, we're often customizing those for people. And I've just got some simple 2D elevations in Rhino of the shelves in the different configurations, and a customer will come to me and be like, oh, can I have it like slightly narrower, slightly shorter, slightly different depth? And so which I tend to just draw that out manually, and then there's always a bit of a hurdle of like, oh, how do I price it? Do I just give them the price of the standard one that's the closest size, or do I actually work it out properly in Airtable? I've made a new view in Airtable of the product variants where I can see, because it's all priced in Airtable, I can see like the material inputs on each of those standard products. So I made a Rhino script which just takes those 2D elevations, quickly extrapolates them out into like a sheet view, and does a very basic, very, very basic nest of those parts. And then I can go, cool, it's the 3 upright was 2.25 sheets. it's now basically 3 sheets for that custom version, and I just changed the value in Airtable from 2.25 to 3. Scroll across, I'm like, cool, it's this price now. Great. Add on a programming fee and the price is done. So that's a good little win this week of like, cool, no, I can quote this stuff quickly. Like, there's no reason why it needs to be slow and super manual. So yeah, there's lots of little things like that which are good, can be done.
Right. I feel like I rarely get parts that are just 2D, 2-ish D, 2.5D nested sheets. It's always, I mean, I sent you an idea of what I got, those super complicated parts, and I've never seen more complicated parts for a router, like in terms of tolerance requirements.
They were hilarious.
And I tried to give feedback of like, yeah, this isn't going to happen. Like, maybe I'm completely off of what somebody else wants to accomplish with their router, but like, it's just, I can't even imagine. And I'm not going to share any details about these parts in specific, but and we've definitely, like, let's say, advertised ourselves as that, and we have the word of mouth of that kind of like solution provider of complicated things. But what I know so often though is it's like most people don't come with an unlimited budget to solve these problems. I don't have the Dylan clients usually where it's like, I just need this done. I don't care what it costs. Do it as fast as possible. It's never that. It's like, oh, I still want it to cost $500 when you really should cost $3,000. So not to bitch, but it's just like, it's a weird inroads of solving the problem similar to random routing of like, I get parts that are always 3, 4, or 5 aluminum and I need to route those. I can make a robot do that. It's like, that's part of why I don't have automation of any sense, is it's like there's no commonality in our jobs usually. It's just all over the place. Maybe I need to make that like, we do this,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, we control that.
That's true.
Like, it feels like an external problem, but it's absolutely not. It's what you put out in the world, and it's what you tell people you do. And I was thinking about that when you were talking about the random routing shop before, right, of like, these neat racks with like 5 different thicknesses of aluminium sheet, and that's it.
Right.
I know nothing about this dude's business, but it would suggest that he's done a good job of being very clear about what he does and what he does well. Yep. And would appear that's all he does.
5 meter long aluminum parts.
And folds some parts on his fancy brake press.
Maybe we can find his website and get quotes.
We absolutely have control over that, and it's a hard thing to, I think, reduce. It's hard to say no. It's hard to reduce your offering and feel like you're paring all of that back. But I think, if you want that simplicity, that's kind of what you have to do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've been thinking about this Cobot sander opportunity. It's like, well, if I sell the wide belt, I could sell our wide belt sander, potentially get decent money for that, buy a dedicated Cobot sander, which would take up, less power, less floor area.
That was really interesting.
Blah, blah, blah. What does that mean in terms of our capacity? Does that, what jobs is that going to affect, not having a wide belt sander?
Right.
But how will it help us process, piles of the same parts over and over again, and sanding bevels and things like that? So yeah, that's been interesting to think about in that sense as well, of like, where is this reducing our ability to do certain sorts of work?
In a certain way, though, I was just running through like the challenge process of a custom job versus product that you're doing sanding with a robot instead of a linear sanding belt. Like, isn't it very possible that you just create this like facing operation generator for it, where like instead of going over and pushing up, down, shove it through the wide belt, it takes up like the size of a truck, you know, in your space. It's like the robot's there. You've got some little Raspberry Pi input that's like, I need to sand 1200 by 24, and it just generates on the spot, and you're doing the same thing.
Yeah. Quick facing operation. Go. Totally.
Right.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. I want one.
It seems pretty. I mean, like, I feel like you have a much better opportunity for that to be realistic, especially for the specific case of those bevels. But then also, like, why couldn't it sand both the top and the bottom faces too, you know? And like flip its hand over, suck your part, flip it over. That or pneumatics that shoots it up in the air and then catches it. And
yeah, and like I had this conversation with the Cobot rep in Brisbane, and like I know you can buy like sanding attachments for like $30,000 for these things, but like I've no interest in that. Like I want to make my own end effectors. I want to 3D print stuff. I want to muck around with pneumatics, just bolt stuff on, give it a go. Oh, that's crap. Cool. I'll print that again. Like, I really want the DIY hacky approach when it comes to these things.
Do you follow Gimbal Automation on Instagram? Talked about it a few times.
I don't think so.
You should. I feel like the way that, I think his name's Michael, plays around and his brain works, he's just like, well, it'd be cool if we made like a way for a CNC to just flip parts this way. And it's like, he's just done that like 6 different ways now, I swear. And like, oh, well, if I get a little flipper thing, it can take it over with this type of end effector on the spindle, take it into the flipper, flip it over, bring it back to the vise. And it's just like, I swear every week he's got a new solution like this, where I'm like, this would take me. I feel so incapable in comparison to how amazing these little automations are that are so effective.
Super cool. I'll check it out. Thanks. Coming.
Oh my God, we're in an hour 11. Look at us go.
Look at us.
It's basically like we're both on weekend time.
Yeah, I feel it. Just linking Gimbal Automation in the show notes.
Do you have any
and then
do you have any, oh God, what do you call it? P2? PS2 updates.
PS2 updates. The pencil sharpener V2 is, it's got Ro sent me a video from home yesterday. It's got the spindles are powered and now switched via the software, so we can M-code the spindles on and off, which is exciting. Wow. WCSs are defined, max travels are defined, so we're basically ready to start writing production code for testing.
Right.
I think that'll be next. Still lots of things and stuff to do, but yeah, I think we're at a point now where we can get some proper testing happening. And then there's still lots of other projects like dealing with dust collection and enclosure and all of that. But I tell you what though, this specific machine was intended to be shipped to the States. That's always been the intention for licensed manufacturing of kit parts in America. Don't feel amazing about doing that right now.
I got that feeling too. Can I just come there? What? You got some space for a PDX in your shop?
Plenty of space, yeah.
Just one shit show after another.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I assume you have other markets than just the States, hopefully, for it. You don't want to compete intra-country with yourself.
Yeah. Look, I've had conversations with people in the UK and Europe, and there's definitely other opportunities. But yeah, don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I know that. I mean, we're trying to manage ordering stuff and sourcing stuff, and it's just. I mean, I have the factory I work with in China for tool holders is like, I like working with them a lot. They're very nice people, but they've definitely been able to be like, well, you don't know what your administration's going to do there, so you might want to order now. And it's like, well, yeah, nobody knows. Who knows what's going to happen? Like, can I import stuff by the time it gets here? I don't know. Don't know. It's just absolute madness. As if that's even remotely close to the worst of the problems coming out of it, but it's my local world of problem, I suppose, at the moment. But there's so many other things. Yeah. Yep.
On that high note.
Time to end.
Time to go.
God, that's too long. That's way too long.
Oh, daddy.
It's a beard comb?
I wonder if it would hold a ladder. Yeah. Okay. It's getting out of hand. Goodbye.